the end of the turn when I did that.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to tap 7 for a turn to tide.
You both shuffle your hands.
You play this card, you lot of cards.
Okay, when you start
And you put all your battle cards from your...
What's nice about this guy is that he's a major disruptive.
You play this card,
So
cards in
this deck kind of wants.
That was the win con and
battle cards, right?
Yeah, all your battle cards in your drop go to your deck shuffle.
But he is a double.
shit, all my super combos are going back.
Whenever you block, die.
I like that.
And
I kind of like that.
he basically just stops.
How many more negates did you have? Yeah.
His weakness is yellow. That's
Negates?
Yeah.
So
Like done.
Oh, like, no.
he's in the best of 3 inside.
He was gonna neg everything.
Swing.
I think
30 Christmas.
Best of 3. Although Jiren's a little weaker in best of 3 because if they side an unexpected turn, you guys can just lose everything.
Oh, she's a blocker! Fine, block.
Oceanus, bro.
Why is she a blocker?
He's alright.
Yeah, I know. Oh, whatever. You don't have a hand, right? Remembered or not.
Is it gonna leave?
Go ahead.
What is up, Squirt Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're back in the battle chamber. Shout out to Rob and Christian. As you guys saw in the intro, I was playing against Rob during locals, and unfortunately I misplayed and misread the board and didn't realize that Oceanus was a blocker, so that ended up costing me the game. But if you guys want to see that game, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to upload it for you. But today's matchup, we have Jacob on the left playing Future Gohan and Josh on the right playing Golden Frieza from set 1, which to me is amazing that this leader is still very, very powerful. Yellow mirrors are very skill intensive, so I wanted to bring you guys this game, not only to see the quality of play from both sides, but also to see that sometimes it is very easy to overlook certain things. So Jacob's going to start off by playing Android 16 for 1. He's going to look at top 5 for a unison with 2, with a specified cost of 2 added to hand. And he also gains blocker until the end of the opponent's turn, which will trigger his alternate awakening condition off the Gohan there if Josh decides to attack. Josh does go ahead and do the standard turn 1 Frieza play, playing the Ginyu, and then drawing a card, and then sacking it off to untap the energy so he can have it open for defense. Pass over to Jacob, draw for turn. And we're rolling here. This game did go down to the wire. Spoiler alert. For those of you who don't want to stick to the end, I encourage you to do so because it is a very good game in my opinion. But Jacob's going to go ahead, charge a Vegeta, unison, and swing with leader to draw 1. Josh is going to go ahead and take that damage, pass turn. To Josh, he's going to charge his power, the Super Saiyan, tap 1 for a Tagoma, which is going to allow him to draw another card. And by sacking it off of the leader, he can untap an energy and draw a card. He's going to swing at Jacob for 10. Jacob's going to take that damage to hand. And let's see if Josh decides to do anything else. He's going to pass over to Jacob, draw for turn. So, as you can see, Frieza is just a very good value deck. You know, being able to sack off his own guys to untap energy and draw cards is very good. It's going to get you a large hand size. He is an old school leader, awaken at 4 or less, draw 2, so you kind of have to be careful you don't get blown up before you can flip. But Josh is a very skilled player, and he's been playing the deck for a few weeks, so he knows exactly what he's doing. Jacob's just going to charge, go ahead and swing with lead, draw a card. Josh is going to go down to 6 and pass turn. He's going to charge his Roshi, activate a Frieza's Call. That's the name of the card. For 1 energy, you basically can play out a Frieza's army with a cost of 1 from your deck and in rest mode, and it's just going to trigger your leader's ability to be able to go ahead and sack him off to untap the energy. So in this scenario, that extra card gets you a body that's going to draw you a card, and then just have fodder for Frieza to go ahead and remove it to draw another card. So you just kind of see where he's going to continue to get all this advantage. Being in yellow doesn't do the best at drawing if it's not supported. So being able to have alternative ways of drawing is really nice, but Frieza has it built into the leader skill, which is also going to get you back energy. So in my opinion, when we did see that shift from set 1 to I believe it was set 3, when we went from draw leaders to untap leaders, you saw the power of the ability to untap energy. So Frieza just kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Jacob's going to go ahead and start his turn by charging and swinging to put Josh down to 5 life. He's going to tap 4 for this Mechikabura Unison, which is an oldie but a goodie. Mechikabura is from set 10. So let's take a look at what he does. He's a blocker, auto once per turn. When this card loses a marker due to an opponent's attack, you can choose up to one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. +1, activate main, draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and that card can't be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn. -4, activate main, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, gain control of it, and switch it to active mode. So there's a lot of effects there. Being a blocker is nice. Being able to tap down your opponent's cards and freezing them essentially is also very nice. So we're going to see how much value this Mechikabura here gets on Jacob's side of the board. Trunks Unison, very nice play here by Josh. I love this Unison. Didn't really see a lot of play on its initial release, but I think people started realizing how valuable having a 20k dual attacker that could essentially board wipe your opponent is very valuable here. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's like the battle of the unisons here. Trunks doesn't really have a way of adding markers to himself, so he's kind of just there offensively, and if you had a big enough board, you could go ahead and -3 and neg everything, or remove everything, but he's still a good card nonetheless. Josh is going to go ahead and tap 1 for Tagoma, drawing him a card. He's going to go ahead and +0 on the unison there to, I believe the Trunks doesn't KO it. I think it just puts it in rest mode, but that's interesting to see how Jacob got it off the board. And then Trunks is going to go into the Mechikabura, reducing a marker, and because Mechikabura lost a marker, it's going to rest a Tagoma. Josh is going to KO the Tagoma off of leader skill to draw a card and untap 1. So interesting that Josh didn't go into lead there to put him to 5. I guess he doesn't want to give him any more cards. Wants him to force the action on Awaken. When Gohan awakens, it does get a little bit nutty, especially with the ability of him to play the future Trunks engine and get up to your big 8-drop, which is, as we see there, Jacob is revealing off top 3 from Trunks. So it's very similar to a chess match here. When you're playing a yellow mirror, you kind of want to not be the first person to make a mistake. So let's see exactly what happens here. Jacob's going to go ahead and evolve on top of that 1-drop Trunks for 1 yellow. He's going to uptick his Mechikabura Unison to draw a card. He already swung with lead. He's going to swing with Trunks here, 20k barrier into the Unison. Now, the only bad part, as he takes a life here for his Army Reinforcements, the only bad part of not having any defensive options on that Trunks Unison is losing your markers and then not being able to activate skills. So it's a good thing that Josh had the counterattack there, and also creates himself a token blocker for the duration of the turn. Jacob is going to go ahead and evolve his 8-drop Trunks on the 3-drop, where Josh responds with a Cold Bloodlust, making his skills negated for the turn. And then Jacob is going to tap 1 more energy to play the Android 16, giving him a blocker essentially on defense for his opponent's next turn. Josh is in Awakening range, so he can easily flip here and draw 2 cards defensively. There's no real downside of Awakening defensively when you're in a draw 2 leader, because you're just getting more cards to combo out if you need to. That was basically the big strategy back in the day. So interesting to me why Jacob didn't attack with his Trunks. Even though it doesn't have any skills for the turn, it's still pretty beefy there, but I guess he wanted to save it in case there was anything that he could play into on Josh's turn there. So he's going to go ahead and pass. Josh's going to untap. Looks like he's sitting at 4 energy right now. Jacob went first. He's sitting at 5. Yeah. So Josh is going to be charging his 5th energy this turn. As you can see, he has a small novel in hand, which is obviously facilitated by all of your 1-drop Frieza armies and your leader skill. So charging the power of a Super Saiyan here, giving him 5 energy. This is where, the wheels start to turn. Once you get to that mid-range point of a game is where yellow can start to pivot against its other matchups. But because you're in a mirror, pretty much Jacob is going to be keeping up pace with that because he wants to play a mid-range strategy as well, going up the Trunks chain. Josh being at 4 life right now has put himself in a really good position because he could go ahead and activate his leader skill on the front, untap 1, draw 1, and then awaken, draw 2 more, and now he can go ahead and use the ability again on the awaken side since it's technically a new card. He would have to play another Frieza army card, but that's not difficult since majority of them is 1-drops. I'm not sure if the token counts because technically it's a token. So not technically it's a token. It is a token, but I'm not exactly sure how that counts in regards to Frieza's ability with being able to sack it off to untap 2. I don't see a way where that would work, but I have been wrong in the past. So he's going to go ahead and tap 3 for the SS4 Goku here that we got in set 10 that essentially makes your opponent's extra cards cost 1 more. This card is really good. It shuts off a lot of free extra cards like Frieza Army Reinforcements. You'd have to essentially pay for it. You'd have to take a life and pay 1, and Jacob being tapped out, it's not something he could really do at this moment. So Josh swings with lead, draws a card. Jacob's going to block with Android 16, which is going to trigger his awaken skill. He only gets to draw 2 here since he's already at 6 life, but he does get those 2 extra cards, so it's not too bad. He's not in a bad spot right now. Josh is going to tap 1 for the Ginyu, which is going to allow him to draw a card, and then he's going to play the Frieza's Call to play the Ginyu. Ginyu's going to draw him a card. He's going to sack the Ginyu to untap 2 energy and draw a card. And it's basically like he played that SS4 Goku for 1 energy. This is the value that Golden Frieza can get. He's kind of morphed into a good yellow stuffed deck because there's a lot of Frieza army cards available to you that essentially are cantrips that reset the board for you energy-wise. And you can play bigger drops that you have to invest more energy knowing that you'll be able to untap that energy and have it open for defense or for more play extension if you need to. So Josh is attacking with his Trunks Unison, which is a 20k dual attacker, and Jacob is deciding whether or not he wants to block with that future Trunks here, which is a 30k blocker, but instead he's going to remove the marker and rest the token, and then Josh is going to go ahead and attack his second time here with the Trunks Unison. Unfortunately, that's not how that interaction works. The auto essentially on the leader would trigger first, and then the opponent would respond with blocker. So because Trunks wasn't in rest mode already, he wouldn't be able to resolve that. But I don't really think it changes any board state here, knowing that Trunks is a base 30k anyway. With that being said, Josh is going to go ahead and pass turn. Jacob's going to charge, giving him 6 yellow energy. And he does have his big boy on board, which he can now give critical off of the leader and make it a dual attack, a double strike, critical swing, which is a lot. Keyword soup is what I like to call him. And that 8-drop future Trunks is definitely nothing to laugh at. So we just kind of have to see what Jacob's thought process is here. He does have a very healthy amount of energy already with the Unison and his boss monster essentially established. You can have a lot of that energy open for defense or just to make more plays on the board. But Trunks being a dual attacker, with double, he could just do a lot on his own. So Jacob's going to go ahead and swing with his leader to Josh's leader, it looks like. He's going to draw a card. He's going to give the 5k bonus to his Trunks, making him a 35k, and crit for the turn. Josh is going to respond with a Robotic Riposte, which is going to stop the attack and then make it so that Jacob has to tap a card every time he wants to attack. Now, being that Jacob has 6 energy open, it's not that much of a loss. If you wanted to push here with your Trunks and get 2 swings, you could clear the Unison. You could do a good amount of damage to the leader here if Josh doesn't have any follow-up defensive cards, knowing that Trunks does have barrier. There's a lot of things that you can't interact with him with. So just going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Jacob does tap 1 for Android 16. He's going to fetch an Android 17 from his deck. He's going to have a 1-drop blocker on board now for defense. Let's see if he decides to push through this Robotic Riposte. So that's a first attack. He's going to go ahead and rest his blocker, which is going to I believe the Android 16 would restand now because it was rested by a skill. So that's actually a really good play on Jacob's part there, targeting the 16, restanding him, and he doesn't lose his blocker for next turn. So right now, this Future Trunks is coming in at 35k, double strike, critical, dual attack. So he will restand here, giving him essentially another attack. I think Jacob is just verifying whether or not that interaction does work, and he switches it to rest mode. So maybe there's a clause in there where it has to be from a skill on your side of the field. I'd have to read the card and double check, but Trunks is attacking. Jacob is going to combo with Bardock the Eliminator. So that's going to be 40, and it looks like Josh is going to respond with Vegeta's Final Flash to shut off Trunks' skills, so just making him a 35k single strike. No crit, no double strike. He's going to go ahead and combo Roshi and then super combo to draw 2 and essentially get out of that attack. Now, that would have been 35 to lead. 15, 30. I think he over comboed because Final Flash gives you 15. So that would have put him at 30. And then he comboed a Roshi and super combos. I think he might have over comboed there, but nonetheless, he survives the attack. Jacob's going to go ahead and activate Bardock the Eliminator from the drop area, paying 1 to send it to the warp, I believe, to draw a card. And let's see what else he decides to do here. He's going to pass turn. Josh is going to draw, untap. Let's see what he decides to charge for turn. He does have a pretty decent board here to Jacob's 3 energy and essentially no blockers at this point. Because he rested the Android 16 and the Final Flash dealt with the Trunks. But, defensively, with the Gohan leader, as soon as Josh declares an attack, he will be able to restand that Trunks and give him plus 6k for the turn. So, let's see how this plays out. Josh is just checking the board, confirming skills, making sure he does everything he needs to do to sequence properly, because, like I said, he technically is down. He's at 4 life. And he wants to make sure that he does things properly. So he's going to go ahead and neg 3 off of the Trunks to get rid of the Android 16, just so he can tap 4 for another. Ooh. So Josh plays his own Mechikibura Unison, which is very interesting here. So that's 2 different Unisons that he's playing in the main board. Mechikibura definitely in Frieza, I can see the ton of value, especially because if you're able to resolve his effect by killing a Frieza army and untapping 2, you're essentially playing Mechikibura for 2 energy, which is insane value. Josh is going to go ahead and swing with his leader, auto draw. Let's see what Jacob decides to do. Obviously, you want to trigger your... Oh, he decides not to activate his leader's effect to untap his Trunks. Interesting. So he takes that and goes down to 5. Josh is going to swing with Robotic Riposte. And Jacob's going to take it and go down to 4 here. Josh is then going to go ahead and kill off that Robotic Riposte so that he can untap and draw a card. I think Jacob just wants to get to 4 so he can turn his super combos on. You're basically going into your turn 7 here and not having your super combos turned on for defensive purposes or offensive purposes if you want to push is kind of rough, especially if you're playing the bottom deck draw 2 super combos, you do have to be at 4 life for those to trigger or to activate the auto and resolve. So it is interesting to see some people deciding to purposely go down to that life total to turn these on. The trunks didn't restand, so I'm assuming that Josh used the Meki Kubura skill to essentially freeze that trunks, which is interesting to me because I thought that was a -4. So, not sure exactly how that happened. Or actually, no, it's not a -4. -4 is taking control. It's a -2. Or it's switch to active mode. It's a +1. Never mind. I'm bad. I don't know how to read. So yeah, +1, draw a card, and then freeze one of your opponent's battle cards. So it's definitely a very valuable skill when you're trying to mitigate pressure and trying to dodge bullets, so to speak. It's definitely something that you want to consider if you're playing yellow and you have a way of efficiently tapping 4 energy for a unison in this meta right now. So, okay. Just to catch everything up here, Jacob swings, draws, activate battle, power for Super Saiyan, rests the token, triggers Poutine from hand, free plays her. And it looks like he's attacking leader. He's going to go ahead and combo the Bardock Eliminator. He's attacking it to unison. He's going to go ahead and combo the Bardock the Eliminator and make it a 20 into the unison, which is going to remove a marker and put Meki Kubura on Josh's side of the board down to 4. Jacob's also going to go ahead and swing with his own Meki Kubura. I'm not sure what the target is at this point. It looks like he might be trying to get more markers off of the opponent's unison, which would be a smart play because you don't want Meki Kubura just constantly ruining your strategy. Oof. Okay, so Jacob goes ahead to tap 4 to evolve the 8-drop trunks onto the 1-drop. Josh responds with a Steadfast Assistance for 1 energy, which is going to essentially play the trunks in rest mode, draw him a card. Because Josh played Steadfast Assistance off of a skill, it does come in and switch to rest mode off of the Poutine skill. So it's just a lot of back and forth. Yellow does have answers to a lot of different cards. It's a very strategic matchup. You know, Yellow is in a very good spot in the meta right now. It just has a lot of good power cards. So you can kind of get away with playing any type of yellow deck that has a minor engine. You know, Future Gohan, the Trunks engine is not that large. It's maybe like 12 to 16 cards, and then everything else is just good yellow stuff. And then Golden Frieza is just value town. You're playing your 1-drop cantrips to have Frieza army guys. Your Floodgate is a Frieza army, so you're already playing 12 cards that are going to further your strategy, and you just get the benefits of being able to sack them to draw and untap. So Josh is actually going in for a big turn here. He's warping 10, tapping 6 to play Fu Shrouded in Mystery, which is essentially going to shut off Jacob's skills aside from his leader. But Jacob does have a response. He's going to go ahead and tap that 1 yellow energy for Steadfast Assistance, switching that Fu to rest mode, which is huge in my opinion. It's really one of the only ways to stop him with a counterplay, so you definitely have to be wary of that. Jacob's also going to draw 1 off of Steadfast, and now he has a blocker defensively if he needs to use it. Now, Fu's auto is still active, so Jacob won't be able to activate skills off of any of his cards aside from his leader. So he does have to be careful how he navigates against this. Even though Fu is not going to be pushing in for a double strike, it's still something that he has to watch out for because Josh has a lot more battle cards on his side of the board that are active. So it looks like Josh is about to sack off that Tagoma to go ahead and draw a card and untap 2 energy, which again is just value town. He just essentially played Fu for 4 instead of 6, which is incredible in my opinion. He still has his Meki Kubura unison that he did uptick it. He still has his Meki Kubura unison that he can attack with, and he can obviously attack with his leader. You want to get that blocker off the board. Now you don't want him to linger there for next turn so you can set your opponent back up, knowing that you can't really knowing that your opponent can't really do anything off of Fu, but come to think of it, I don't think Steadfast can actually activate his blocker skill because Fu is in play. So Steadfast wouldn't shut off Fu's auto, it would still resolve. So he wouldn't be able to activate blocker skill. So just ignore what I said. It's a lot to remember, and it's a lot of different like little things that you have to remember, like certain timings. Like Fu is auto timing, but Steadfast comes in at counterplay timing, so he's already on the board when Fu resolves, so he would be able to shut off his ability of blocking. Josh is going to pass turn. He's going to just get value off his leader and pass turn over to Jacob. So just a quick life reset. We have both players sitting at 4 life. These Trunkses cannot one of the Trunkses cannot restand. Jacob has a really solid board setup, as does Josh in a different way. He has a blocker. He has the SS4 Goku, which is going to make Jacob's life a little more difficult when activating extra cards. But for the most part, sitting at 7 energy in a yellow deck, it's a lot that you could do with that. This has essentially become a war of attrition. Josh and Jacob are both very good players. They both know their decks inside and out. So it's literally going to come down to whoever makes the first mistake. Now, I've noticed that, yes, the future Trunks has been negated, or his skills have been negated a couple of times. But I feel like Jacob hasn't taken advantage of this skill to activate the activate main on the Trunks to go ahead and freeze Josh's energy or battle cards. It's just one of those things, like I said, it's very difficult to make sure that you're on everything. This is why we play locals, this is why we practice and stuff like that, just to make sure that you're sharp and you know your plays inside and out, because sometimes overlooking something like that could be very detrimental. Now, Josh did take a damage this turn. He did have another Steadfast Assistance to respond to the 3-drop Trunks coming into play, so Josh is sitting at 3 life to Jacob's 4. So he does have to be kind of careful here. I'm not sure about Jacob's hand size. I can't imagine him having more cards than Josh at this point. So we're just going to have to see how everything plays out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 energy. That's a lot. So he's going to go ahead and tap 3 for the true boss monster of yellow at this point. Return to the Dragon Fist. For 3 energy, if you control a Unison, you can play this guy. If you have 4 or more energy. Poutine does put him in rest mode, but I don't think Josh is worried about killing this turn. Oh, maybe he is. So having 2 of these guys is insane. He didn't... all those guys have barrier. Because when Goku does come in, when Return of the Dragon Fist comes into play, he can KO 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode. But Trunks is having barrier kind of stops that. So the fact that this guy has deflect and is not unique is actually really insane. He's going to go ahead and attack. Jacob is going to tap 2 for Nimbus, negating the attack, and it does look like he pitched for the floodgate effect of Flying Nimbus. Now, because Josh has the SS4 Goku out, he does have to pay 2 energy for it. Which is, again, very detrimental here at this stage of the game. Second swing off the dual attack into lead. Josh goes into future Gohan. Jacob is going to block with Mechikabura, but he's going to lose 2 markers here. So let's see. He's going to lose the 2 markers and go down to, it looks like 3, but essentially stopping Josh's big turn here. The only thing I will say is Jacob needs to have an answer for those 2 Gokus next turn, or else you're talking about 4 attacks coming in off of 2 guys that are going to be double strikes, which is insane in my opinion. But we'll see what happens here. So Jacob's going to go ahead and untap for turn, and he's going to uptick his Unison. It looks like he goes to skip charge to draw a card here off the Unison. He's going to go ahead and freeze the Goku so he can't restand. Leader into leader, 15k auto draw, give the 5k to... Oof, there comes the pan. Great counterattack play on Josh's part, in my opinion. Floodgate effect can take control of your opponent's battle cards. Ooh, Jacob's tapping 3? No. Ooh, he's got the Swift Retaliation Cooler. Okay. Counter for 3. He's going to draw 1 off the Cooler. But he can't draw 2 because he didn't have 6 in rest mode. That's huge. That's a huge momentum swing there because Pan would have shut off the ability of Jacob to continue to attack with his battle cards. And then you have that looming effect of she can just take control of something. So having Cooler in that scenario is disgusting in my opinion. Josh is going to take this damage and go down to 2. So he's getting towards that lethal range right now. We got to see how this plays out. That was such a big cool. I mean, obviously you have to anticipate that play because you know you're playing against yellow. But the fact that Future Gohan doesn't draw that many cards, depending on how many copies Jacob is playing, it might not be a foregone conclusion that he has it in his hand. So the fact that he had it when he needed it is clutch in my opinion. The Swift Retaliation Cooler is such a great card, which is why I think it really should get addressed on the ban list because it's just too powerful for what it does. But that's a conversation for another day. Jacob's going to go ahead and swing with his Future Trunks into leader. Josh is going to respond with Robotic Riposte. Jacob should have triggered Poutine. Maybe he missed that trigger because of Pan. So it maybe just mistiming there because Poutine has to hit the first card that comes into play off of skill or counter. So the fact that he might have missed timing on the Pan means he can't activate it in response to Robotic Riposte. So Trunks is swinging again. This time Meki Kibura is going to block. Jacob does have to rest a card here. So I don't know if he rested something. Let's see. He didn't rest anything yet. He's supposed to rest a card off of Robotic Riposte because he tapped 3 for Cooler. So they might have just missed that there. He's going to go ahead and power for Super Saiyan to draw a card, and he's going to rest a Steadfast. And that's going to be just double strike into Meki Kibura. Meki Kibura is going to lose markers, therefore it's going to rest Steadfast Assistance. And by resting Steadfast, Josh is going to go ahead and trigger the free play on Poutine. This is just insane amounts of triggers, insane amount of resolutions. Again, another missed trigger there. Okay, he's going to rest the Cooler in response. That's fine. So Trunks is going to go ahead and swing 20k to lead. He rests the Cooler off Riposte. Let's see what he does. Okay, Josh is going to go ahead and block with Steadfast. So that's 20 to 15. Or that's 20 to 5. Steadfast is dead. What else is Jacob going to do? He's going to tap 2 here for... Ooh, was that 2 or 3? Yeah, he's going to tap 2 for Turles All Too Easy. All Too Easy is going to come in auto. When this card is played, he can pop a card, or he could KO one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, and then he can either KO another one or draw a card. So it looks like Jacob is electing to go the route of KOing 2 battle cards in rest mode. I'm kind of confused here as to the sequencing here because it looks like Josh activated Poutine in response to Turles being played, but then went ahead and activated a Steadfast. So Steadfast would have had to come in first because of the counterplay skill, and then Poutine would have been able to trigger, but she would have missed timing if he addressed the Turles with the Steadfast. So Jacob is going to tap 3 here to swing at lead. Did he rest a card? So confused. There's so much going on. He overwhelmed to rest. So it looks like he might have rested his Meki Kibura there for that Trunks swing. He's going to overwhelm for this other future Trunks here, so he can give another target to rest for this leader's attack, for this guy's attack. So there's just a lot of going on. Like, once you start getting to the later game here, and now the shotgun ensues. Once you start getting to the later games here, you got to miss your if you miss a lot of triggers, or if you have a lot of triggers to resolve, it's a lot. So it looks like we got a 35, or 30, I should say, 40, 50, maybe 60, it looks like. 60 double strike. So that's 20 for Josh. That's 25. That's 30. That's 35. That's 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. So he is able to combo out of that attack, and I'm pretty sure, oh, he just comboed an extra 10k, or was that in his drop? I think that might have been in his drop because he didn't activate the super combos auto. So yeah, that's pretty insane, because at this point Jacob has nothing left for him to tap to attack. So he's just going to go ahead and extend the handshake for the scoop. What a game. Shout out to these guys for going through it. And, you know, that's what happens with the mirror, man. It is a tough matchup. And, you know, it's a very skill-oriented game. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.